Hi po. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Excellencies, Senator Gordon, Red Mendoza from the Manila Times. The World Disaster Report highlighted the need for yung nga po, the trust, loyalty, and yung ano po, local response to a possible future pandemic. So, Sen, in the Philippine Red Cross, how are we going to implement the recommendations noted in the World Disaster Report?
Uh, Thank you very much. The Philippine Red Cross for the last 19 years have been accelerating and anticipating what is happening in our country in terms of disasters. So we're very, very locally based. We have 2 million volunteers on the ground, telephone numbers and people behind them who can report to us what's happening, what are the threats in the area, what they need. And also we have an infrastructure of doctors and nurses whom we can call for in every province. And we have responders like first aid trained folks, and we have logistics by way of 178 ambulances. I can go on and on the logistics, but the important thing is you're connected by information technology. This year we are introducing the satellite linkage through setting up, what do you call it? No, the satellite linkage. Starlink. Both mobile and headquarters. We have 102 chapters, so we will have Starlink connectivity there, so that there can be no excuse that they cannot report. And if there's a disaster, we can bring it on mobile, so we can see what's happening on the ground very, very quickly. We're already doing that. In fact, we have a TV program every day that we report what happens if there is a conflict, if there is a traffic accident, or if there is a typhoon, floods. I can show you to even now the latest on what we're doing. What is important is the principle of closer is better. People down there, you have to orient them that they are the ones that should be in control. If I had my way, there would be a Filipino first aider in every household. That has not been achieved. We're trying to achieve that. We have tried to dot all the I's and cross over the T's. And in blood, we're pretty good. We're also able to give blood down to the poor by way of the Blood Samaritan program. And of course, we have warehouses to make sure that the logistics chains are there. So definitely, you cannot stop natural disasters from happening. But you can predict them, you can prevent it, you can soften the impact, and that we're doing. If you come over tomorrow morning at Subic, we'll do another exercise, very realistic, buildings collapsing, people, appearing to have been wounded, etc. And we will have ambulances, we will have communications all over there, and we will be able to mobilize everybody. And that will be watched on TV by the rest of the chapters and by 800 people from Central Luzon who will be looking there, and I'll be there, and I'll ask them, so that's happening. What are you going to do now? This suddenly happened. This bridge collapsed. What are you going to do? Because we cannot bring the goods to you if this bridge has collapsed. So we're looking at our maps, and we'll have to look for another place to go to. Or, these are the things that we want to do. Really get them involved. Not just dictate to them, but actually let them feel what is going to happen in the case of a disaster so that they can lead themselves. And we're communicating, the world is gotten smaller with satellite technology and cell phones, so we're just using that to make sure that we can see our way clear on every challenge that's going to present itself.
Mr. Mafio, Mr. Gonzalez, of course, we know that the threat of a future pandemic is real. I mean, we know that it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. So how is the IFRC and the United Nations dealing with the possibility that a new pandemic may arrive? And of course, you said, Mr. Mafio, that the world was not prepared for COVID-19. How are we prepared for this next pandemic? And to Mr. Gonzalez as well.
Well, so the first point in terms of the assessment of the threat. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So the first point on the assessment for the threat, the report does highlight that the conditions for another pandemic are more present now than they were in any other point in human history because of the population growth, because of the density of populations in urban settings, and because we travel more than we've ever traveled before in human history. And all of those factors together accelerate the possibility of another pandemic in the future. But there are many ways that governments and organizations can prepare. We in the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies have one fundamental strategy, which is to try to ensure that in every country in the world there is a strong Red Cross or Red Crescent Society with the capacity to be the first community-based responder to every natural and man-made disaster, small, medium or large, and that includes pandemics. Which is why some of the specific lessons in the Philippines have been important to us, because we have seen in the work of the Philippines Red Cross something of a model in terms of preparedness, scale and initiative in responding to this pandemic, which we're trying to share with others through this report so that there can be more replication of that in other national societies. The report highlights the importance of three things, all of which we hope will inform our strategy. One is trust. We want the International Red Cross and Red Crescent movement to be a trusted voice on health messaging, so people believe what we're saying and don't see conspiracy theories behind it, but actually believe we're telling the truth. Secondly, we want to argue for the equity in access to essential treatment, vaccines. It's something we all saw in this pandemic, that there was a lack of equity in terms of who got the vaccines first, which parts of the world, and which people in which countries. So we want to make sure as much as we can that there is equity in vaccine distribution in the future. And as I say, we are investing in the institutional preparedness of our Red Cross and Red Crescent Society. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, now there is an important investment in knowledge, and I think that this report, that is a remarkable report in terms of lessons learned and recommendation, is bringing in numbers of evidence that we are taking into account. The second effort that we consider is at the level of policies, global policies, particularly when it comes to pandemics and the way that we are expected to handle them. So we have WHO, UNICEF, that are particularly looking at the way that we learn from these recommendations, and we make sure that we have a new generation of policies that will focus more on preparedness and prevention and anticipatory action when it comes to pandemics. The third one is in terms of the aid architecture, something that we learned from the COVID-19 crisis, is that the existing funding mechanism, they were not prepared to face this global challenge. And the recognition that it involves an important numbers of partners, not just, let's say, member states, but also the private sector, multilateral development banks. So this is an ongoing effort to revise the aid architecture in the case of this type of shock. And finally, the recognition that those that are the first responders, they are expected to be also the first decision makers. The report is also building on this great experience, and I think that the chairman of the Philippine Red Cross referred to that, the great experience of the Philippines, where communities, they are not just bringing, let's say, knowledge, local ingenuity, but also new ways of addressing this type of disaster. So we, from the United Nations, we really appreciate the contribution of this report, and we expect that we have an impact on policies, strategies, and frameworks at the global level. Thank you.